Hey, hope everybody is doing okay. I wanted to change directions a little bit this morning. We've been talking about healthcare and those kind of things a lot on this channel recently. And I wanted to look at things from a different perspective. So, there's some science going on right now. Well, it's been going on for a long time, but talking about increasing the longevity of human beings. And I just want to kind of have a little bit of a philosophical talk about that. Of course, nobody wants to die prematurely. Okay, nobody wants that. But the question is, what is prematurely? I guess, do you really want to live extraordinarily long life if the quality of your life has become not so great? And what exactly does that mean, quality of life? And I think about, actually, even before all this started, it's one of the things that brought me to Georgia is because Ray was here, and this is before he started having all these big problems, This is a person that I love and I've been with for a very long time, and I wanted to be with him until we weren't together anymore, until one of us was gone. And so, not just that, but in a short period of time, I lost both my parents, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and Ray lost his mom. That was 5 people in a matter of, I think it was 4 years. That's a lot, But no, it was a little bit more than that. But, and the crazy thing was, my dad died on the 6th of July. And this was, I think, 2008. Ray's mom died on the 8th of July in 2008, like 2 days apart. So, it was just like, none of these people were old, except my mom. And even she wasn't old. She was in her 70s, but she was the oldest of all of them. My brother-in-law was in his 40s, and my best friend she was 48, I think, 48 or 49. So they hadn't even made it to 50. And my dad was in his 60s, and Ray's mom was in his 60s. And, my dad was working on the RV. He was getting ready to retire and wanted to take a trip, and that didn't happen for him, So it made me think about my life and what I was doing. And at the time I was really miserable, and I was just caught up in corporate life, so that's part of the reason why you all know that story about United Healthcare. It's there. I can put it somewhere. I'll put that link in the description if you want to. It's kind of how all this conversation started, right? So, I was thinking about, is it worth it just to slog along day after day after day after day, fulfilling somebody else's dream, and all I'm doing is, being a little cog in a big machine? And for me, it was a no, okay? A lot of people didn't agree with what I did. I packed up, I didn't pack up everything. I just packed up what I needed, and I moved to Georgia and started this cleaning business. But I don't regret it. I honestly don't. It's, something that I wanted to do. Knowing that I had a limited amount of time left. I don't know what day it is that I'm going to pass away, but I know I'm not going to be here forever. And I wanted to do something that meant something to me, where I had more control over my life. I didn't care about the money. I didn't come down here to become the next great big janitorial service. I didn't do that. I came down here to be with the person that I love, and I didn't know what was going to happen to him. I just knew that this is where he was, and I missed him, and I wanted to be with him, and I wanted to have more control over my life, and just see where my life went to. Actually do something that we had talked about. We talked for years about moving to Florida, actually, but we ended up in Georgia. And ironically, 2 years ago, or a year and a half, I took a trip up to visit with my kids and talk to them about some things in the last part of my life that I wanted to express to them. Like I want to be an organ donor if it's appropriate. Obviously, if you have cancer, you can't do that. But if I'm cancer free when I die, then yes, I want to donate my body, my organs. And even if I do have cancer, I still want to donate my body so that they can use my cadaver, my body, when it becomes a cadaver, in medical school to help people learn. Okay, because that's important. So that's what I'm doing. That's okay for me. I'm not saying that anybody should do that. I know that that's a taboo subject. This is a hard subject to talk about for a lot of people anyway, but that's why I'm talking about it, because I've actually put a lot of thought into it. And some other things that I wanted to think about, and as end of life care, if I become unable to make decisions for myself, things that I want, as far as comfort measures and resuscitations and all those types of things that sometimes is left to the family to make decisions. I've already made those decisions, and I've voiced them to my children so that they know, so there's no arguing, so there's no unnecessary stress for them wondering did they do the right thing or not. I don't want to burden them with that any more than they have to be. I want them to be able to know when the time comes that they can say, look, this is what mom wants, and be done with it, and everybody can be as much at peace as possible when your mother passes on. But my question is, how long do you want to live? And that's a good question. I mean, Jimmy Carter just passed away very recently, and he was 100 years old. And, he was pretty frail in the last part of his life, but for the most part, he really accomplished a lot. Obviously he was the president of the United States, which, some people were like, he was a horrible president, other people really liked him. It doesn't really matter. I mean, most of us are not going to be the president of the United States. That's an accomplishment, whether you're a good president or a bad president. He was also very, very active. I think he might have founded Habitat for Humanity, which is a great organization. It helps with homeless people, getting people off of the street and giving them a place to live. And fun fact, I believe that the house that Gypsy Rose Blanchard, Dee Dee, her mother, I believe the house that they were living in when her and Nicholas unalived Dee Dee was a Habitat for Humanity house. I think so. So yes, he did a lot of good things for people. He accomplished a lot. It was a pretty fulfilling life, not just for himself but for other people. And so there's that question, like, do you want to live forever and be a hermit and live in an apartment with no access to other people and not be happy, or do you want to live forever and not know who you're talking to and not recognize the people around you, or be in pain all the time? I mean, it goes back to what I was saying, like, nobody wants to die prematurely, pass on prematurely, but I don't think I want to live forever. I mean, I don't want to get to the point where, there's nothing left here and I can't move around and I don't know who I'm talking to. That's not cool. But I do want to have a life with purpose. And that's really, I think, the most important thing for me. I mean, I like having a business. I like growing it. I like being independent. But that may not last forever. No, it's not, actually. It won't last forever. But I just remember when my kids were little, I don't know how I thought of these things, but somehow they came to my mind. And one of the, was a little boy who had a brain injury. It was just kind of a freak thing. He was coming down a short set of stairs at the middle school, and they used to jump up and slap this, you know how kids do, right? Well, when he came down from jumping up, he slipped on those stairs and hit the back of his head, and he didn't make it. And yeah, that was a sad funeral. That was a sad funeral. And of course my kids went, and everybody in the neighborhood went, or in the town really. It was, I can't see. I'll go. Okay. And so my kids had questions, and because it does seem kind of unfair that a 12 or 13-year-old child goes unexpectedly like that, but it happened. And so I explained to them that, dying isn't always bad. Sometimes it's better than being alive. Like if something's too hurt, like their friend, or something's too old, or something's too sick, because you don't want to go on forever in those situations. So I don't think that dying in and of itself is a bad thing. I mean, it's part of life, and I don't think it's bad. I'm just saying that. Maybe not something to look forward to, but maybe it is. Some of it may depend on your spiritual beliefs, but that's just my thoughts. I would really like to know what any of you think about. I know it might be a morbid subject, but it's going to happen, and I do think that we need to talk about it. So enjoy the rest of your day.